we got trailblazers, star-studded showdowns, and her story makers as we talk all about the good times from 2023. Hello, I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And I'm Sam Corrales. Now let's hit rewind by diving back into one of the biggest volleyball events in the world, the Volleyball Nations League.
All right, now from electrifying kickoffs to heart-stopping games, excitement of volleyball showdowns and fan-fueled action just never stops. Now here with us to talk about the intense VNL 2023 is volleyball analyst Noreen Go. Noreen, Happy New Year. Welcome to the game.
Yes, good to see you here. It's 2024 now,
I
Noreen.
know.
Yeah. Can I just say, this is the tallest I've ever seen Sam due to the chair situation. Pero
And I think it's the New Year effect. You know,
Oo.
when you jump in
Kapag
New Year's, apparently it still works. So, guys, don't give up.
Okay, back to the VNL. Noreen, VNL coming back to the Philippines, the first time it was here, it brought in record crowds. The VNL organization loved the Philippine crowd. And in their return with the men's competition this year in the Mall of Asia Arena, it felt like, again, a match made in heaven. Philippine fans and international men's volleyball.
Yeah, I mean, we were so lucky because we have to face it, no? Not everyone's tech savvy. Not everybody follows global or international volleyball. So when VNL was brought to the Philippines, it's like it opened everyone's eyes about, oh, there's international, which
Yeah.
we know has been there for so many decades. But for a lot of the new fans especially, it's like, oh, okay, we can watch like USA and so on and so forth. So I think it's a good experience for both coaches, players, aspiring players and coaches, and the fans.
That's right. You know, you were talking about the players, Noreen, and I just wanted to share, you know, covering the PVL during that time, a lot of the players were drawing inspiration from the VNL. So I wanted to share something from Jack Janela of the Signal HG Spikers. It was the battle for the bronze then, and we know that their schedule was packed, as in back-to-back games, and she told me that was like her fuel, like seeing all of, you know, that international level of volleyball in the VNL, and they're just, you know, playing at the top of their game. So she was inspired to do the same as well.
Alam mo, just hearing that, it just reminds us that yung mga players natin dito, fans din sila eh. How did you feel it affected the game here? Because especially for the men's, you know, we've seen a lot of Spikers turf and we've seen a lot of men's volleyball action. You kind of feel na, okay, parang na-inspire ata sila sa nakita nila sa VNL.
And yeah, I think also they want to learn. One particular move that we've seen throughout the Spikers turf is one. It's not particularly a Japan move. We've seen it from a lot of countries.
Yeah.
It's the second ball. They're gonna go up to hit it, and then last minute set it. So it could be a decoy for the third hitter. So we've seen that a lot in Spikers turf. That in itself, we saw it first in VNL before we saw it in our local scene. So a lot of things they can learn, put into practice, and that will obviously elevate our volleyball in this country.
You know, I just want to also share, since nag-share na rin si Sam about her experience talking to the CSR, talking to the players at PVL as a courtside reporter. Ako naman, I actually had a chance to anchor some of the games sa VNL, and covering the Spikers turf right after, you can kind of see, tama ka nga eh, you can kind of see where they're trying to imitate or emulate, trying to learn from them. And again, the quality of the volleyball talaga, the broadcast and everything, it wasn't just the volleyball on show, it was a party all throughout, especially if you were a fan.
I'm sure. You know, I mean, I totally agree. Everybody like savored the experience from the first time we covered to the second time, and then luckily this year we're going to cover it again. So it was such a learning experience for a lot of people, even the organizers, on how to put up a tournament. You know, from witnessing, putting up or running an international tournament. If you learn from that, the locals will be a cinch. It'll be easy already.
I mean, I just love how everybody was involved with the staging of the VNL here in the Philippines. One of the players actually, si RJ Doramal, Roma Joy, she made her debut with the galleries, right? And she told me that ito talaga yung nag-inspire sa kanya to leave beach volleyball and go back to indoor volleyball. I mean, how amazing is that, you know, because she was actually like assisting with the VNL. So from assisting on the sidelines, now she's back on stage, like, you know, shining with the gallery. So it's just so amazing how there's that impact. So I guess, Noreen, what can you say about, you know, our own team? Because they also had friendlies against the Netherlands and China, right? So what do you think that, you know, how did that impact our Philippine team?
Well, the fact that you get to play against international teams in itself already is an honor, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, obviously, the experience that you gain or you garner from playing against international teams, I think that in itself will really impact the players here because it will inspire the aspiring players to, to go for that position that, hey, I want to play against international teams, so they just want to get better. I think it's really the evolution of the sport globally that's translating to our local volleyball scene.
The Philippine fans were also lucky because yung VNL, not just to let everyone know, not the entire VNL came to the Philippines. Select nations came here. And the nations that did come here were all the heavy hitters. And Noreen, were there any teams in particular you were excited to see the most? Okay, Japan is a given. But then anyone else, you take a look at the rest of the roster, who were you interested in seeing the most?
I was very excited to see Italy again.
Yeah.
But I was really personally more excited to see Poland because I was reading about it. Poland currently is number one in the world.
Yeah.
But that has been dominated by Team Brazil. Talking about the men's,
Yeah.
Team Brazil for what, 20 years. So again, the evolution of the sport, we have to keep mentioning that because you see a lot of countries get foreign coaches. Like Japan got a French coach, Poland got a Serbian coach. So you see that, there's transferring of information.
Yeah.
That's how people get better. So Poland, they showed us, and we were able to experience by watching, a number one caliber team in the world. So I
Yeah.
mean, what experience, that's really some experience for all of us.
Now, speaking of the best, how can we not talk about Yuki Ishikawa? I mean, whether you're a volleyball fan or an athlete, I mean, what is it about his game, Noreen, that just draws people into him?
Let's start with last year. I think they were at 8 or 9 in the ranking, but they just had a great year. They ended up number 3. They won the bronze in the VNL, I think in Poland as well. And he was the best hitter or best attacker. So what is it about his game? He is that good. Aside from the fact he's Japanese, that obviously the Filipinos love the Japanese players.
Yeah.
He's showing that I am a Japanese, you love me, yes, but I'm going to back it up
With the skill.
with skill, with talent. I'm going to be the best attacker, I think attacker or scorer in the VNL in the world.
Yeah.
So that in itself is really, I mean for the fans, like, okay, that's why we love
That's
him.
the one.
That's
He's
the
the
one.
one.
He's the one.
Yeah, best attacker, best scorer, scored 70 in the entire tournament, and then obviously was given that individual honor. But let's take a look at the results. So Poland and USA was in the finals. Poland won in 4 sets. Italy was not able to defend their crown. Japan was 3rd place. Italy was 4th. You take a look at all of that. Surprising, or is it just going to be one of those things wherein it feels like almost every year we might have a different winner?
I think that the latter part is, because people are trying to get better, you cannot just, be relaxed in one position and one ranking. Everyone wants to get to that top 1, top 2, top 3. Poland became 1. Japan, from out of nowhere, became 3. US has been kind of steady at 2. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a constant chase to being the best.
Okay, so the VNL 2023, we're going to wrap that up already. We're not going to go rewind anymore. In fact, we're going to go forward instead. You'll take a look at what's happening this year, and VNL will be coming back, this time with the women's coming around.
Ooh, exciting.
Now, if the men's inspired our men's team, could you only imagine how this group, this next set of international stars coming here to the Philippines could inspire some of our PVL stars?
That's what we're hoping, obviously. We've seen it because there is a benchmark. We saw it in the men's game. So we're hoping it will translate to the women's game because the fans, we're all happy already at where women's volleyball is, but imagine just getting better and better, and with this influx of foreign talents that inspires people all around. I mean, if it just gets better, then it's good for actually Philippine volleyball.
Absolutely.
I mean, as you mentioned, Noreen, right? We're always learning from their games, and that's why every experience that we get, we go all out. Noreen, thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
over, for doing a quick recap of the VNL.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And after the break, we'll shift over to the pitch to talk about the incredible journey of the Philippine women's national football team. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back. You're still watching The Game. In a year full of championships, milestones, and records broken, the journey of the Filipinas captured the entire country's heart. And now, joining us to wrap up our Rewind series for 2023 is Philippine Women's National Football Team midfielder Cam Rodriguez. Cam, welcome to The Game and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Sam. Happy New Year, pal. I'm glad to be back, and I'm so excited to do this rewind with you.
All right, just to clarify, saan ka ngayon?
I'm in California.
All right.
Finishing my off-season kasi it's been a busy year, diba?
Okay.
Yes, of course. I mean, Cam, you mentioned it. The last time we talked to you here in the studio, you were in New Zealand with the Filipinas. So let's do a quick rewind. And can you just talk about, this whole journey of the team? It's been such an eventful year, and we are just so, so proud. Take us back to that time when the team won against Chinese Taipei in the AFC Women's Asia Cup to finally qualify for the World Cup, Cam.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been a busy, I'd say, 2 years
Yeah.
preparing for this big World Cup event last July, correct? But the year started very bright because around April or May really set the tone of how the team was preparing into the World Cup. And we had some positive games there, and we were able to go against formidable opponents. And ultimately, it led us to prepare and go into our best World Cup yet. And I say this with so much heart and so much pride because I truly believe that this is only the start. And in the World Cup, you're able to really compete against nations. We won again. We had a 1-0 loss versus Switzerland, and then eventually won against the host New Zealand, which we see here now, right? A very, very proud moment, and then ended the tournament with a very warm 35,000 crowd that were basically all Filipinos, and I'm very proud that I was able to witness that. And this journey really has been such a dream.
Yeah, the journey was incredible. And, it was a 2-year journey to go to the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. And there were even, I don't know how to say it, but then there were even, I guess, ninja tactics, okay? There was a secret game between the Philippines and Team USA. There were secret friendlies being played. The Philippines found a way to play in Chile. They played against Scotland, I believe, and Wales at one point. There was just so much build-up here to this particular World Cup. And all this experience coming together, just how do you feel that showed come the FIFA Women's World Cup?
I mean, as a team, after we qualified for the World Cup, we wanted to be the most prepared team. And we are very lucky that our management is very supportive of us and was able to make that happen, right? So we basically scaled the whole world, and we went to different continents and played against different styles of play. Mm-hmm. So whether that be a North American style of play or a European style of play, it was really about exposure and hand in hand with that growth. And this growth that we've seen with a remarkable performance in the World Cup, that there has been growth and there continues to be growth because maybe we can touch about it later on, but even after the World Cup, we were able to show how much we've grown in the Asian Games. You were there, pal, and also at the second round of the Olympic qualifiers, where we were able to secure, for example, I believe a 3-0 win versus Myanmar in the Asian Games, and a 4-1 come-from-behind win versus Chinese Taipei in the Olympic qualifier. So we could see that we've really gone so far as a team, and just on a personal level, these are opponents that we've sort of been head-to-head. So it's a good insight as to where we are now as a team, and the rankings have also shown that, and just really proud.
All right, Sam, I'm going to try and steal this for you from a bit, because I want to ask Cam in particular, how many times have you replayed that goal from Serena Bolden to actually get the first goal of the Philippines in the FIFA Women's World Cup? Because in terms of hallmark moments in Philippine sports history, not just football history, I think it has to be definitely up there.
That's right. You
Too
know,
many
Pao,
times, Pao. But for a good reason.
All right, go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, it has been such a hallmark moment just because it was shared. I was there when I hosted that game, and the community present in the viewing really just was so meaningful, and it had an immediate ripple effect because right after the Philippines versus New Zealand game, there's this one game left, right, versus Norway, and I remember like many malls across the country parties, and this kind of impact, if we look back in all the previous years, has been unheard of, and it's just because that you know we had this win and this goal by Serena, and
Yeah.
I
it's
mean, of
such a
course,
team effort, and for someone who's up till that point, it's just very meaningful.
we would love to replay that moment in our heads. It was flashed right on our screens, and you really see the fans' power, right?
Yeah.
Over 90% of them were Filipinos. So I'm sure it was really epic to be there, Cam. So, looking ahead, you were talking about growth, right? The Filipinos are currently ranked at number 38th in the world right now. That's the highest ever. To those watching, that's the highest ever by a Philippine team. We're also second highest ranked in Southeast Asian team, just one spot behind Vietnam, and sixth among all Asians. So, can you share with us, Cam, what's the vision for the Filipinas in 2024?
Two things. One is to really embrace the responsibility and the accountability of what this growth means. And that means to show up every time, to have like a never done mentality and not rest on our laurels. But number two, to stay competitive. We have scaled probably 30 spots in the past 2 years, and that's really tremendous when we look at how the rankings work worldwide. But to know also that although we've scaled 30 spots, there's still 30 more teams ahead of us that are better than us. And we need to stay competitive and really just keep getting better.
Cam, we really appreciate your time because I know it's around 2 a.m. in San Diego and it's going to be a bit difficult for you to get to sleep after being on the show. But right before we go here, I just want to ask you what gives you the most hope in terms of the development of women's football and the Philippine national team in particular going into 2024?
It's knowing that the success is being mirrored already by our younger teams. And if we talk about Rewind, we can't forget the U17 historic moment as well,
yeah.
where they qualified into their first Asian Cup. So we could see that, this trend isn't something that's just by the women's team, but it's already being reflected into our youth girls team. And recently also the ASCOs have been winning their tournament games. So it really is such a movement, and parang sama-sama tayo lahat dito sa
Well, Cam,
trend, and really
Yeah.
so hopeful for 2024 and the years to come.
absolutely. Cam, it has been a pleasure. It's a trickle-down effect for sure. We can't wait for you to come back from vacation and actually be here on studio instead para hindi ka na naglalag. So we really appreciate you coming on over. Enjoy your break.
Well, she did also mention that she's busy training. So
Thank
it's
you.
amazing,
Yeah.
Pao, like how there's that, inspiration from her. Like, even if it's just vacation, I'm sure she's still, trying to put in some training there. So thanks, Cam, for coming on the show.
All right. So after the break, we'll look back at more highlights from the football world. So keep it here. You're watching The Game.
Imagine playing football with the best names in the country. Now add
going back to the game. Now, to make this football year even sweeter, former Philippine Ascals had a chance to meet and play with La Liga legends Luis Garcia and Nacho Monreal in the Legends Asia Tour. And I also had the pleasure to be on the pitch with them. Had no idea why I was there. But let's look back at some of the highlights in this rewind.
Imagine playing football with the best names in the country. Now add some of the best former players in the world, you have a football fan's dream come true. Philippine football aficionados gets a rare treat on a Sunday-Tuesday morning, courtesy of Spanish Football League La Liga. Former Barcelona and Liverpool midfielder Luis Garcia and former Real Sociedad and Arsenal defender Nacho Monreal graces Manila for a pickup game with some of the country's finest. Present were former Philippine Ascals, college stars, and some members of the media among others, while one particular media member had no idea how he got mixed up with this company. Before the games, Luis and Nacho took questions, and one of the hottest questions asked was who they believe is the best young star since a certain Lionel Messi. With no hesitation, both legends named Real Madrid's Jude Bellingham.
Actually, I'm a Barcelona supporter. I play for Barcelona. I play for Atletico de Madrid. So what I'm going to say is not going to be liked by the supporters. But I think at the moment, one of the best players that you can see all around the world because of the age, because the way he behaves, because the way in and off the field, I'm talking, is Jude Bellingham. I think he has impressed us all. He arrived to La Liga as, of course, a big talent. He only 20 years old, coming from Bundesliga. He moved from England when he was 16, so I guess he matured earlier on his age. But definitely, I think he's one of those players who every kid should watch.
As Luis Garcia said before, he has been a very surprise for us. We knew him, we knew he was a top player, but we didn't expect it, their performance, how he's playing, how he understands the football, his commitment in La Liga. He has completely everything, and he's doing an amazing job.
After a quick session with the media, it was time for kickoff, with Monreal and Garcia captaining 4 teams in small-sided games. The day also turns out to be a reunion of sorts for Ascals alumni such as James Young Husband, Isaac Badoran, Anton Del Rosario, and Stefan Schruck, all of whom were glad to be united once again.
Man, these guys, they could still play, bro. Unbelievable how good these guys are, you know? And they're just having fun, you know? So it was a great experience. You know, thank you very much, the Liga, for being able to have us. I mean, if they do this again, please let us all know. We love this.
It's an amazing experience. Like me, I've stopped playing now, 37 years old, and I still get starstruck with these guys coming along, and it's fantastic what La Liga are doing for local football here in the Philippines. And so I'd like to say maraming salamat to them for coming over and to the legends. And yeah, it's one where it's not like one where you can relax and take it easy. It's one where, no, because you want to impress them, you step up your game.
It's always fun for all of us to get together. We relive in our old days, you know? So it kind of makes us feel like a little bit of fountain of youth, right? Except we need some oxygen on the sideline because we're all struggling. But it's amazing being able to share the field with these guys again, you know? I mean, almost makes me want to cry being with these guys. They've been brothers for a long time, off the field and on the field. So being able to relive moments like this, it's treasured. You know?
As soon as you come through the door, it's like you haven't been away for a lot. We bump into each other now and then, catch up, lunch and coffee, but it's different when you play football with each other on the field and you get familiar with each other's movement and you start building off that teamwork and reliving the glory days that we had with the national team.
Among the young stars present were Adamson defender RJ Buenaobra and Ateneo midfielder Leo Makiling. Both UAP standouts had the chance to pick the brains of the La Liga stars.
It's incredible. Like whenever I make decisions, he guides me what to do, tells me to release the ball. It's a good experience. It feels surreal because I remember back in Cebu, like I used to watch Misa play. It's my idol, and then playing with Shocky and the rest of them feels really amazing.
Playing alongside the Philippine Ascals and former La Liga legends, it's always going to be a privilege to be here and share this experience. And of course, hopefully, more and more stars will come here to the Philippines and share the beautiful game with more Filipinos. Reporting for One News and The Game, Paulo De Rosario.
You can catch the games on our show live and on demand on the Pilipinas Live app. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sam Corrales.
I'm Paulo De Rosario. Happy weekend. This has been The Game.